Okay. It's ready to go? Excellent. So continuing, we'll be giving 30-second warnings before the 2 minutes is up. So at 1 minute and 30 seconds, there'll be a warning just to let the candidate know that their time is approaching completion. At the halfway point this evening, we're going to take a 15-minute coffee break. And we'll be taking questions from the floor as well as on our Facebook page. I'm going to read the questions out loud and direct the question to the candidate that is specifically directed to. Otherwise, we'll be switching back and forth. To begin with, for opening statements and the first question will be Terry, and Sean will follow, and then we'll switch back and forth. Once again, every response will be limited to 2 minutes with a 30-second time warning. At the end of our program, there'll be an opportunity to give a closing statement of 3 minutes in length. And I just want to thank everybody for coming and thank our candidates for participating. Terry, if you'd like to read your opening statement.
Good evening. Thank you to my fellow candidate for being here tonight. I'm honored to be the Saskatchewan Party candidate for Carrot River Valley Constituency. For nearly 30 years, Tisdale has been my home. After graduating from University of Saskatchewan with a Bachelor of Science in Pharmacy, I owned and operated a pharmacy for 5 years and practiced as a pharmacist for 25 years in multiple communities including Nipawin, Tisdale, and Arborfield. My husband Ian and I raised our children in Tisdale. We farmed for a number of years and became active in the community. For almost 5 years now, though, I've been a business development officer at Community Futures New Sask in Tisdale. I've served on town council in Tisdale, public service boards, and professionally on the Saskatchewan College of Pharmacy Professionals. Now, as the Saskatchewan Party's candidate, I'm eager to serve this incredible constituency. I've been working tirelessly, actively listening and learning with the aim of becoming the next MLA. Right now in Saskatchewan, there are more people working than ever before, nearly 100,000 more jobs. Saskatchewan's economy grew by more than 27% from 07 to 23, and the value of the Saskatchewan's exports is almost $50 billion in 2023. It is through a strong economy that we can make record investments into programs and infrastructure that Saskatchewan people expect and deserve. These investments include the brand new K-12 school in Carrot River, and also include surfacing of almost 38 kilometers of Highway 55 north of Carrot River. We are going to keep doing all these things within a reasonable, responsible fiscal plan. Tonight is a chance to compare our plans and for yourselves to see which party has a plan to keep our economy strong and our future bright. Thank you.
Thank you. Shauna, go ahead.
Good evening, Chamber Directors, Terry, Council members, I believe the Mayor of Nipawin is here, and everyone else who's gathered. My name is Shauna Stanley Seymour, and I'm your Saskatchewan United candidate for Carrot River Valley. I was raised north of Tisdale on the farm my great-grandfather homesteaded in 1904, and my husband and I now farm there as the fourth generation to do so. As with many, I too spent years away. Most of that time was spent in Regina, where I traveled in political circles for both work and for fun. Government was often a client during my career in market research, which was polling and focus groups, but it was never the mainstay. Most of our clients were in the credit union and private sector, where I helped them develop strategies and products to better serve their customers. It was during those years that I learned to set my biases aside and truly learn how to listen and hear what people were saying. I could disagree with many, but ultimately my job was to clearly convey the messages I was given, whether I liked them or not. The job of an MLA is similar. Ask questions, listen, hear, learn, understand, then advocate for those who took the time to convey their concerns. Sask United is not about protest. Sask United formed because of the disconnect. We all feel it. Nothing makes sense anymore. As John Romick, our leader, says, the Sask Party has been in power for 17 years, and look at our services after 17 years. It doesn't matter whether it's healthcare, it's education, it's roads, things that are 100% within the provincial purview, they are all in crisis. And when you think about it, it is increasingly difficult to see the difference between the Sask Party and the NDP. They continue to regurgitate the same campaign talking points we've been hearing most of our adult lives. I and others are saying enough. Sask United is offering a positive and realistic alternative. Sask United is the only truly conservative option.
Thank you. I have a brief statement that was sent to me from the Saskatchewan New Democratic Party candidate, CJ Binkley, which I am going to read now. Due to other commitments, I am very sorry I'm not able to make it tonight. This province has so much potential and opportunity, and a Saskatchewan NDP government will build an economy for everyone. In the Saskatchewan NDP plan, we have committed to various measures to help businesses grow and improve our main streets. We will freeze the small business tax at 1% and offer PST rebates to businesses trying to retrofit to help keep small businesses open. We have a Hire Saskatchewan plan that will prioritize Saskatchewan workers and companies to build and maintain public infrastructure, so it's the people in this province who are first in line for jobs. In addition, Carla Beck and the Saskatchewan NDP will expand cellular service and internet connectivity through rural communities and First Nations to increase access and economic opportunity. We will invest directly in all communities across the province, everything from roads, municipal infrastructure, neighborhood halls, and community rinks. Okay, so we're going to proceed to questions now. Just give me a quick moment here. If we have any questions from the audience here, just hold up your hand and one of our, Yuri will come and collect the question from you and bring it to our screeners. Okay. So Terry, I'll direct the question to you first here. And the first question that I have, it deals with healthcare. What is your party's plan to increase the number of physicians for small town Saskatchewan? How do we get them to come, and how do we get them to stay?
Thank you. The Saskatchewan Party's 24-25 budget invests a record $7.6 billion in healthcare. Over $140 million is being invested into our plan to recruit, train, incentivize, and retain healthcare workers. In the past 6 months, 33 family physicians and 20 specialists have been recruited to Saskatchewan for a total of 53 physicians. $2.8 million will be spent to support the Rural Physician Incentive Program, which was recently enhanced to provide over $200,000 over 5 years. $1.5 million to add new residency training seats to family medicine, anesthesia, and psychiatry at the College of Medicine in Saskatoon. Since forming government, we have increased the number of nurse training seats over 500. We've increased, by over 550 seats for a total of 992 total training seats, some of these now in rural training areas. We have added 48 seats to the College of Medicine and more than doubled the number of residencies from 60 to 140. 27 new nurse practitioner positions have been created for rural and remote communities, including one in Hudson Bay, one in Carrot River, and one in Nipawin. And 8 nurse practitioners have been hired since June 24. The Saskatchewan Party is committed to continuing to recruit and retain healthcare professionals. Thank you.
Thank you. Shauna.
Thank you. The Saskatchewan United Party believes that the healthcare system needs serious reform. Our healthcare system is a prepaid service paid for by your tax dollars, but it doesn't seem to be there when we need it. In terms of the question as to how we're going to get there, We recognize the urgent need for more healthcare professionals in Saskatchewan, and to address this, we will open more medical seats and residency spots here in the province. We will also implement a targeted recruitment strategy that focuses on attracting nurses, doctors, lab technicians, and other medical professionals from all Canadian universities and colleges. We will offer a program similar to the Royal Military College officer program, where students and new healthcare professionals will have their education paid for in exchange for a commitment to serve in Saskatchewan for a specified period of time. Retention bonuses will be offered for healthcare professionals who choose to stay and work in Saskatchewan, ensuring that we not only attract, but also retain top talent. We will also implement additional research grants and offer competitive compensation in other Canadian Canadian jurisdictions for professionals who choose to work and stay in Saskatchewan.
Thank you. Okay, our next question was submitted by Jess M., who is a resident of Nipawin and a mother of two. And she says, I have read that over the last 4 years, funding to private schools has increased by 79%. Please explain your stance on funding private schools. If elected, will you advocate to increase, maintain, or decrease the funding to private schools, specifically QIS or qualified independent schools? Shauna?
Our leader, John Romick, was asked this question recently, and his answer was very clear. He was raised by two teachers, and they put him in private school, which they paid for. That was their, that's what they chose. He does not believe, we do not believe that tax dollars should go towards private schools, period.
Thank you. Terry?
So I know that the Saskatchewan Party government will continue to make education a priority through record investments in K-12, education system funding and classroom supports for students and teachers. I am not familiar with how much currently the provincial government funds to private schools, and that's something I would need to look into to answer the question for the mother that gave us the question tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Sticking with the healthcare theme that we had established earlier, due to the aging population in Saskatchewan, what would be your party's plan to address the increasing number of seniors requiring care? Terry?
Can you repeat the first part?
Certainly. Due to the aging population in Saskatchewan, what would be your party's plan to address the increasing number of seniors requiring care? So just to provide a little more context, the baby boomers are reaching that stage of life, and they make up a very large percentage of the current population. And so as they approach not only retirement, but beyond retirement, what would your party's plan to be to address the increasing healthcare costs that will be faced by the provincial government?
So definitely, as we have an aging population, we know that the healthcare costs increase to the system based on how people can need to access the system as things change. So the Saskatchewan government will provide healthcare service to everyone, and I know that we've set up a few of the programs coming up in the budget to address the increased cost for that, for the aging seniors themselves. We've increased the personal care home benefit by $1,000 a month to help with the seniors' costs themselves. That will increase the healthcare costs, but we do need to make sure that the seniors can afford the healthcare that they so rightly deserve within the province. As far as providing long-term care facilities. I know the province has been continuing to invest in long-term care facilities to be able to provide service for those care to those seniors that require long-term care facility services. In general, too, we've increased and extended the coverage of glucose monitoring systems, and that under the new budget will be available to seniors for the first time. Thank you.
Thank you. Shauna.
On the issue of healthcare, again, I mean, healthcare in this province is beyond broken. It doesn't work. The wait times are way out of control. We believe in a couple things. So competition and choice, and how this will affect seniors is it's going to get them care quicker when they need it before they suffer for months and months and months on end. So we will harness the innovation, efficiency, and the expertise of the private sector to build out our healthcare infrastructure by introducing the Saskatchewan Integrated Healthcare System. Non-government clinics will now have the ability to build facilities and provide services to meet the demands of local communities while remaining publicly funded through government contracts. This will allow choice and competition in the delivery of healthcare services while retaining universal access for all. When I was at Red Earth a couple weeks ago, that was one of the things we talked about. That community has been trying to get a dialysis unit into the Northeast for quite some time, and again, they're running into roadblocks. And we're saying, let's figure out how to do this. We've got organizations that are already delivering healthcare in this province that are healthcare is being delivered outside of hospitals every day. And we need to remove the roadblocks so that that can happen, so that there can actually be services that can be delivered. So beyond that, we must confront the challenge of bureaucracy and an inefficiency that can hinder our progress. And we understand that managing what we're able to manage is essential to delivering quality services, and that's why we call for an immediate audit of administration versus frontline. We've got to streamline this bureaucracy and reduce the red tape, eliminate the unnecessary layers of administration that are impeding the delivery of essential services.
Thank you. So sticking with that same topic here, I have a question that we've received that says, how much does the Saskatchewan United Party plan to invest in healthcare to accomplish all 4 points of their serious reform?
We are in this province investing. There's no shortage of money for healthcare. What we're saying, I can stop shaking. What we're saying is that.
One moment.
Is it working now? There we go. We'll start again. What we're saying is that it's not about investing more money. We are already backing up the truck and shoveling money out the back door of the truck into every problem that we have in this province. And we're saying that we have got to look at why all that money isn't working. And that is when people are going, well, how are you going to pay for it? It's about reducing spending on the layers and layers and layers of administration in healthcare that are preventing healthcare workers from doing their jobs. And we've just got so much frustration in the system, and it doesn't make sense. When I was a kid, we'd go to the doctor's office in Tisdale. You'd be in it, everybody had a good visit, the place was packed. Be in and out of there in a couple hours. We had a hospital with more doctors, more beds, and more services, and exactly 4 people in administration. And what we have now is this so-called new and improved, and it doesn't work. It's gobbling up loads of money every day, and people are sitting there waiting for months and years on end for service. And that's how you pay for it. We have got to get rid of the bloat across government, but especially in healthcare.
Terry, would you like to respond? Okay. So the next question I have then, Terry, to you is, since the closing of STC, there has been a shift to the use of medical taxis. Does your party have a plan to provide affordable transportation services to citizens that require care outside of their rural communities?
Thank you. Regarding affordable care for transportation, I believe, I don't know the answer to that question entirely. I know that there are some medical taxis that are available, and there are some buses that are available from certain communities, but the fee is paid by the client or that's using the service themselves. So I'm unaware currently of any plans that would be available to those people to be able to take them to those medical appointments that would be out of the side of their communities that they're living in. Thank you.
Thank you. And Shauna, same question.
Yeah, I don't know that we have anything specific to the taxis per se, but it was another conversation when I met with the leadership at Red Earth where we talked about those issues as well. And again, we are a province that are spread across so many different miles, and there used to be services in rural areas. Not everything required a trip to Saskatoon. And again, it's just there's so much money being spent on so many things that don't actually matter to people. And I would say by looking, like we're planning an audit of everything, starting with healthcare, and not just a provincial auditor audit, like an actual real audit, corporate audit, to say, we've got all this, we're spending all this money everywhere, we've got so many more bureaucrats working, especially out-of-scope managers in the last 5 years across government, and there's savings to be had there, and we need to get serious again about saying, you know what, the people of Saskatchewan matter, their needs matter, and we need to start addressing those issues. I'm not one that's big on per capita funding. I find that it doesn't make a lot of sense, and that's how a lot of government decisions are made. I'd like to see us move to more of a per GDP, like look at GDP of an area, and like you look at somewhere like Carrot River, where there's the mill and everything else, and I mean, if we move medical services further and further away from there, that just makes it dangerous and it doesn't make sense. So there's a different way of looking at things. That's what we plan to do.
Thank you. So to you, Shauna, I have a question. The Saskatchewan United Party platform states the creation of Saskatchewan First Bank to support local economic growth. Could you elaborate on how the party plans to fund this bank and ensure its long-term financial sustainability?
If I remember correctly. It would be like, now this Saskatchewan First Bank, for those that don't know, this is a financial institution that's going to be independent of external pressures such as the federal social agendas or global initiatives like DEI, net zero, and ESG scores, which now even places like FCC are talking about for farmers. So it's going to become important in this province with so much agriculture. And because we believe in Saskatchewan First, period, we're going to make sure that we put entrepreneurs and such into a position where they can actually get financing. The way things are going, federally, that's why we put toward this Sask First Bank idea. It would be backed by the provincial government in some way, shape, or form. That would be what it would be. It would, like, the Alberta Treasury Board exists. That would be a comparable for those wanting to kind of compare.
Any response to that?
I have no comment on the First Bank.
Okay, then I have a question for you, Terry. Does your party feel that the carbon tax contributes to inflation? And if so, what is the solution to lessen the impact on Saskatchewan's residents?
Sorry, what was the second part after the carbon tax contributing to inflation?
So I'll just read the question again. Does the Sask Party feel that the carbon tax is contributing to inflation? And if so, what is the solution to lessen the impact on Saskatchewan's residents?
Sorry, we have a lot of programs, and so I'm just taking a quick.
Certainly.
So, for us, as far as the carbon tax goes, we believe there shouldn't be a carbon tax, and the Saskatchewan Party has been fighting hard against the Trudeau NDP carbon tax, we believe, and we believe that it shouldn't be placed on anything in Saskatchewan, and we're working hard to make sure that that is removed if possible. I think as far as the affordability goes, the carbon tax itself, in removing the carbon tax currently, we've been saving families every year and money as far as affordability, and as far as inflation, the carbon tax has not been contributing to inflation. Thank you.
Thank you. Shauna.
Yeah, the carbon tax has to go. That's the short answer. But beyond just the carbon tax, it's the commitment to net zero altogether. Carbon dioxide is the gas of life. It's plant food, and that's just the way it is. And had the provincial government gone to the Supreme Court with that argument, we wouldn't be having this discussion here today because it all would have been done. But they didn't. The whole net zero by 2050 agenda is something that we're going to back out of in every way possible. We have got, so it just adds costs at every aspect of everybody's life, so many ways, and it really is doing nothing. And if we continue down the net zero agenda, it's going to kill agriculture and most industry in this province. So we're out. That's the long and the short answer is Saskatchewan still has jurisdiction over stuff, and we need to stand up and remind the federal government that we do have jurisdiction here. And that would be the first area where we're going to stop. We're just going to get out of the windmills and the solar panels and all of it. It's not going to keep anybody warm in the winter. And last winter in Alberta, energy flows like water, so it has to stay flowing. And when you have intermittent energy sources, it ends up causing the grid major problems, which is why last winter in Alberta, they managed to keep the lights on because of our coal that was burning. So how long are we going to burn coal? Until we run out. It's cheap, it's affordable. That's the way it is.
So this will be the last question that we take before we have a little coffee break. Sticking on the same topic there with your net zero pledge. The Saskatchewan United Party has pledged to scrap green energy programs and remove the province's net zero by 2050 target. Considering this, how do you plan to ensure that Saskatchewan remains an environmentally responsible province? What alternative strategies will you implement to address climate change and promote sustainability? Would you like me to repeat that?
No, that's good. We are going to, it is the Sask United policy to scrap net zero and reclaim our wealth. Promoting responsible resource development with fair royalties can ensure that the benefits of natural wealth reach every corner of the province rather than just benefiting multinational corporations. The current approach, such as the regressive job-killing net zero program, increases the cost of living without impacting global emissions at all. It's time to harness our resources for the people of Saskatchewan. And as you look around the world, there's more and more countries that are walking back from all of the things that they said they had to do in order to meet this climate change goal. And they're walking it back because it doesn't work. And especially in northern climates, I mean, we have to stay warm. And when you look at some of the other options for how we go about it, let me figure out where I put it here. To use coal, which is what we have abundantly in this province to provide energy, it is $0.9 million per megawatt. Solar works out to, which only provides 18.8% of the capacity, is $14.4 million per megawatt. And wind, which is $2.9 million per megawatt. Nuclear, I think we're going to get there at some point, but these small nuclear reactors are 30 years away. And we're saying, you know what, we in Saskatchewan people did the carbon capture technology. We invested a lot of money in that. Maybe it's time somebody else gets these nuclear reactors to a point that they're affordable and let them do it, and then we'll absolutely be on board. But right now, let's just worry about keep this province running.
Terry, would you like an opportunity to speak on the Sask Party's platform when it comes to environmental sustainability and responsibility?
Sure. The Saskatchewan Party, I want to just reiterate too that we are keeping the Trudeau NDP carbon tax off the home heating, and we will keep fighting to have that carbon tax completely eliminated. But we're not going to follow the clean energy regulations that the Liberal NDP federal government is trying to impose upon Saskatchewan. These regulations would require Saskatchewan to shut down traditional sources of power like natural gas by 2035. And these regulations are unaffordable and unrealistic. And so, according to Saskatchewan Economic Impact Assessment Tribunal, Saskatchewan's economic growth would be at least 7.1 billion lower. The province would lose at least 42,000 jobs, and there would be at least 8.1 billion negative effect on Saskatchewan's export sector under the clean energy regulations. But we will, an elected Saskatchewan Party, take a responsible and affordable approach to the modernization of our power grid. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so we're going to take a quick break now in our program. We'll collect some more questions, and everybody can grab a coffee and stand up and walk around a bit, give our candidates a chance to catch their breath, and then we'll get back to it very shortly here. Thank you so much.
No one has had to take away your mic. Oh, okay, so that's okay. Thank you.
Welcome back, constituents of the Carrot River Valley riding. Once again, I'd like to thank the Nipawin Apostolic Church for hosting this event for us. A fantastic setup. Takes a lot of work, and we really appreciate having the venue to do an event like this. So, like I said, welcome back to the the Nipawin District Chamber of Commerce, Saskatchewan 2024 election, all candidates forum. So we're going to get right back into the questions here. Oh, actually, one more thing. I want to thank Norm Rudock and the Storm 94.7 for broadcasting this on the radio for us. I apologize if there's been any audio issues. We are absolutely doing our best. Sometimes these things don't work out perfectly. So, Terry, this question is going to go to you to begin with, but it is to both candidates. The Provincial Highway number 55, stretching from the Alberta border to the Manitoba border, is a crucial economic and social transportation infrastructure for our constituency. This highway links agricultural producers to processing centres in Nipawin, Arborfield, and Tisdale. It connects to export markets, including the Port of Churchill, which is now open for grain movement. It supports forestry workers by providing access to jobs at the Carrot River and Hudson Bay mills, as well as harvest sites in the Northern Forest. It facilitates students' access to schools in Red Earth and post-secondary education. It ensures the sick and injured can reach community clinics and hospitals in Hudson Bay, Nipawin, and the Tisdale Dialysis Unit. Despite its importance, there is a lack of investment to complete the highway to the Manitoba border, risking its closure. From the perspective of various stakeholders, this investment is critical. So the question is, are you willing to collaborate with stakeholders to develop solutions that will keep this highway open to industry more than 55% of the time?
The highways in the province are very important to the government of Saskatchewan, and we've invested billions of dollars into the upkeep and the formation of new highways and roads. This year, almost 38 kilometers of Highway 55 was resurfaced within this constituency. Going forward, definitely we would be, I think what we would see is that the safety of people and the vehicles that travel upon the road is important, and we would need to, is that okay? Better? We would definitely need to be aware of all the situations that occur on Highway 55. As a candidate, I certainly couldn't say or commit to anything regarding the expenditures upon the road itself, but it's something that I'd be willing to get more information on so that we could be knowledgeable about the situation going forward if I was elected. Thank you.
Thank you. And Shauna.
That's a beautiful highway. I wish they all looked like that. We ride Harley, so we appreciate really good highway. When it comes to this province, we've just, again, I've got nothing specific to highways other than the whole idea that we have to figure out how to get rid of a lot of redundancy within how we spend in this province. There's lots of money in this province, but we seem to have a big management problem, which is why we are spending exorbitant amounts of money on everything without any real results. So I would like to be in a position where we can definitely extend every highway out as best we can. And that includes when you look at one of the things, I don't know if it's covered yet tonight, but I want to talk about is this potash royalty review. Because that, in the sectors like oil and gas and any minerals and that kind of stuff, royalty reviews are normally done about once every 10 years. This is something that just happens in the industry worldwide. And potash is the one thing that we have in this province that is very rare across the planet. It's here, it's in Belarus, and it's in Russia. And in Belarus, it's nationalized, so no company can ever do business there. And in Russia, well, that adds its own set of problems. So people are always asking how we're going to pay for everything. That royalty review that was supposed to have been done a few years ago, eventually the potash companies pushed back, and the province ended up saying, okay, well, we're not going to do that. And that's how we ended up with the expanded PST on everything, and it went up 1 point. And when you look at how you're going to pay for stuff, it's like the Saskatchewan United Party is saying that we have to look at things differently. And that's how you pay for highways. And will we collaborate? Yes.
Thank you. So I want to talk about crime a little bit. In the last 10 years, oh, by the way, this information I gathered from the RCMP website. So in the last 10 years, homicide victims have increased by 275%. The number of violent firearms offenses in the province has increased by 271%. The number of assaults on RCMP officers has increased by 79%. Number of regular assaults has increased by 33%. And currently, the RCMP are only able to police about 60% of the total criminal code violations. Another constituent has said that Nipawin is out of control with drugs and gangs. What can we do on a provincial level about crime? Shauna?
Lawlessness and criminal activity is running wild in Saskatchewan. Violent crime is at a record high, as you've talked about, and ranks highest in Canada in a number of areas. A thriving society is built on the foundation of law and order, where every family can live without fear and every child can grow up in a secure environment. And most of us, it's very difficult to go through this life right now without, if you've tried to call RCMP to come to anything where somebody isn't actually dying, you're probably not going to get any help. We got to deal with the drugs. We believe in zero tolerance policy for violent and repeat offenders. We will direct prosecutors to pursue maximum sentences for those convicted of serious crimes and appoint judges who prioritize the needs of victims and their families over the excuses of criminals. So that's part of it. The other part is to establish, we're going to get rid of the drugs, which means you just take them. Establish a specialized task force to target drug dealers and gangs with relentless determination. In our communities right now, if you talk to the leadership, they know exactly when the drugs are arriving and where they're going. And the RCMP's hands are tied. And so everybody that's involved in it is entirely frustrated. And we keep, again, throwing money at it, but we're not getting any results. But we have to do something different, and that's going to be, you got to support the RCMP, and then you got to get the justice system to actually do its job. Provincial jurisdiction does exist there.
And Terry.
A re-elected Saskatchewan party government will strengthen the Safer Communities and Neighbourhoods SCAN Act and make changes to related legislation to provide more authority to address social disorder in our communities, including providing SCAN officers with the authority to shut down nuisance properties, such as the power to address an abandoned building that has been repeatedly broken into, whereas trespassers squatting in it. Additional authority to address public safety issues such as intoxication on public property, vandalism, and individuals behaving in a disruptive manner on public property in public spaces. To ensure there are enough officers being trained to fill new positions and existing vacancies, a re-elected Saskatchewan party government will provide $2.5 million over 3 years to the Saskatchewan Police College to enhance training and to ensure long-term stability to the college. The Saskatchewan party government is delivering a recovery-oriented system of care that includes detox and pre-treatment, inpatient, outpatient treatment, post-treatment, and supportive living spaces. The Saskatchewan party has set a target of 500 new addiction treatment spaces over the next 5 years 213 of those 500 spaces have been announced or opened. A re-elected Saskatchewan Party government is committed to providing officers more funding and timely, and ultimately aiming to reduce crime throughout the province. The Saskatchewan Party's Safer Communities and Neighbourhoods plan builds upon investments in the budget, which includes almost $720 million to keep Saskatchewan residents and communities safer. More than $31 million to reduce personal violence and support victims of interpersonal violence. More than $23 million to fund 160 municipal police positions, and more than $228 million to fund RCMP operations through the Provincial Police Services Agreement. There are many things that we are doing and many things that we will continue to do and improve upon. Thank you.
Thank you. So I have a question about affordability here. Terry, is the Sask Party planning to bring back the first-time home buyers program?
Hi. The first-time home buyers program, there's a tax credit, first-time home buyers tax credit that's available, and under the current plan, we'll be increasing that from $10,000 to $15,000 to make purchasing a first-time home for people within the province more affordable all around. Thank you.
And Shauna, what is the Sask United Party's policy when it comes to a first-time home buyers program?
Well, we don't have a specific program related to first-time home buyers, but we are talking about affordability across the board, which is reducing the PST from 6% to 3%, cutting that in half. That'll affect everybody and not just first-time home buyers, but they'll save 3% on their insurance. Eliminate the gas tax entirely. That's 15 cents a liter, and honor our seniors by introducing a 65% discount on property taxes for primary residents to all citizens 65 and older. That will ensure that seniors can remain in their local communities and continue to be active and engaged. So that's seniors, not first-time home buyers. But we've got so much, that reduction of the PST, cutting that in half, is going to affect everyone because it affects the cost of construction, it affects insurance, it affects your food, it affects clothes, everything across the board. So that would be the big one that would help everybody out, including first-time home buyers.
Thank you. So sticking on that topic, I actually have a question from one of our constituents specifically about your reduction in the PST. So if the Sask United Party is elected and forms government and cuts the provincial sales tax from 6% to 3%, the PST revenue funds important programs. It is shared with every municipality in Saskatchewan through municipal revenue sharing. And how do you foresee this impacting revenue sharing for towns and villages as well as rural municipalities?
The province would reimburse the rural municipalities and urban municipalities that 65% cut. So are you talking about the one for seniors or just across the board?
They don't specify here,
Okay.
just...
So on that side, it would be reimbursed, that portion. Yeah, the revenue sharing agreement is in place, and it has to be, that has to be backfilled in some way. And again, it goes back to, we've got a few different funds sitting there. Like right now, there's this carbon tax that is collected on, it's an industrial emitter fund that's sitting there that's designated to windmills and solar panels and other green initiatives that the federal government would like us to be involved in. So there's quite a bit of cash sitting there. I can't remember the number off the top of my head. Then there is this whole idea of we need to make sure that our potash pays for Saskatchewan services like Alberta's oil and gas does. And I mean, Alberta went through it a few years ago. They had a pretty contentious royalty review, but they did get through it. And anybody that's involved in those sectors, like our leader just sold his third oil company, so he's very fluent in how these things work from an oil company or from that perspective. We're not interested in shutting down the potash sector, absolutely not. But there is a way to phase things in so that we as Saskatchewan residents are getting full value from the resources that we have here. And that should be the first pot that we pick out of before we come to everybody else's pockets.
So that question was very specific. And Terry, if rather than just have you respond to that, I wonder if maybe you wanted to speak on the Sask Party's position on the PST and any changes that may be coming, or just defending the position that the last few years of changes that have been made, adding PST to certain commodities and so on.
Thank you. I'll start with the revenue from the PST does go into important programs like education, healthcare, and highways. And that PST is currently what's shared with every municipality in Saskatchewan through the Municipal Revenue Sharing Program. So if we half the GST and we take it from 6 to 3%, there's simply less money given to municipalities if we simply do that right away. And it is something that it would need to be funded, and the money has to come from somewhere. So that's what we would think would happen with respect to the municipalities.
Thank you. Okay. So Terry, what is your party's policy or future plans regarding internet affordability? It's certainly a sticking point for a lot of the younger people. Internet is extremely important to the young population, and our internet rates are simply unaffordable. And is there any plans to do something about that?
I'm not exactly sure about the direction for the internet affordability. As far as connectivity, I know that we have taken many steps towards improving connectivity within the province itself. So if we look to specifically the cost of internet, I don't know specifically what we'll do with that. It's something I would have to learn more about to see. Definitely we want to have we deploy fiber to rural Saskatchewan, and we've expanded SaskTel's wireless network to include more communities, but there's still more work to be done as far as connectivity goes, especially within certain regions within the constituency. Thank you.
Thank you. And Shauna?
This is kind of, I mean, I don't know that we have anything specific to internet either, but we have been asked the question what we would do with the crowns, and we're going to keep them. With that said, the crowns too have become these entities that they need to be refocused. The crowns were originally created to provide the very best service to Saskatchewan residents at the lowest cost. And like every other aspect of government, the crowns too have just gotten bigger and bigger and bigger, and we're not seeing that on the receiving end as residents who are consuming these services, whether it be internet or whatever. So by focusing the crowns back to their core responsibilities of delivering the very best to each of us at the very lowest cost, that's going to take care of a lot of affordability issues on, well, on all kinds of aspects of life.
Thank you. So just a general question on affordability. Are there any innovative measures that your party is planning to just make life more affordable for Saskatchewan residents in general? Shauna?
I got lots of numbers here too.
We like numbers.
I hate numbers. Most people do. They tune them out. They want to hear stories. I think think the common theme that I've been talking about all evening here is that the size of government itself has just grown by like 40-some% in the last however many years. And when you look at the size of government and some of how much government has cost, like it's gone up 23% in the last 5 years, and your salaries didn't go up that much. Government is just growing at a rate that is unsustainable for this population. And as government grows, everybody else has to pay more, and that's making it hard for every single person in this province to pay that next bill or save for retirement or buy shoes for back to school or whatever it is. And we are of the belief that we do not have a money problem, we have a management problem. And we need to start streamlining from top to bottom, and that means full audits, going ministry by ministry and saying, what are we spending all of this money on? And if it's a frontline service that is delivering something to a Saskatchewan resident, well, let's make sure it's funded well so that service can actually be spread out to all who need it. But if it's something where we're just funding another layer of bureaucracy so we can produce more paper and have more meetings and tell more professionals how to do their job, no, it ends. So that's where affordability comes in for us, is we're just saying across the board there's an attitudinal change that needs to take place. And everybody in government needs to remember that there is one taxpayer, and that taxpayer gets their pocket picked for municipal, provincial, and federal programs, and we all need to be much more responsible with that.
Thank you. And Terry?
Thank you. So I misspoke earlier. So the carbon tax drives up the cost of absolutely everything, and our position is that the carbon tax consumption should be removed on everything. So earlier this year, Statistics Canada found that our decision to remove the carbon tax from residential heating helped reduce Saskatchewan's inflation rate to 1.9%, down from 2.7% in December, and well below the national average of 2.9%. So definitely that has added to the affordability for all residents within this province that we're using that form of heating. So. Our other affordability measures are many with respect to our platform, and we've shared most of those over the last couple of weeks. We will reduce taxes, we'll put more money back into the pocket of everyone's pockets, and ensure Saskatchewan continues to be the most affordable place in Canada to live. So the Saskatchewan Party will reduce personal income taxes for every taxpayer in Saskatchewan. Family of 4 will save more than $3,400 over the next 4 years under the Saskatchewan Party plan. The senior couple will save more than $3,100 over the next 4 years under the Saskatchewan Party plan. That will result with another 54,000 low-income individuals no longer paying provincial income tax, in addition to the 112,000 individuals who already pay no income tax because of the previous Saskatchewan Party income tax reductions. Also, we will increase the graduate retention program benefit by 20%, double the active families benefit from $150 to $300 per child. In addition, to the Saskatchewan First-Time Homebuyers Tax Credit, we will increase affordability for persons with disability and their caregivers. Thank you.
Thank you. So Terry, in 2023, there were 484 suspected and confirmed drug toxicity deaths in Saskatchewan. The numbers are on pace for that again this year. What is your party's plan to address this situation?
I would say that the Saskatchewan Party government is delivering a recovery-oriented system of care that includes detox and pre-treatment, inpatient, and outpatient treatment, post-treatment and supportive living spaces. I know I've said this earlier, but I think this is important to reiterate. The Saskatchewan Party has set a target of 500 new addiction treatment spaces over the next 5 years, and 213 of those 500 spaces have been announced or opened. And so I think what we're trying to do is make sure that we're in a situation where it's a recovery-oriented system of care and that people are getting the support that they need. Thank you.
Thank you. And Shauna.
Mental health and addictions and now homelessness or unhoused, as some call it. We've got to face that this is a very, very big problem, and it's complex, and there's no easy solutions. So we don't have we're not interested in one-size-fits-all short-term fixes. We want to stop the supply of drugs. So focus on both suppressing the supply of drugs and offering effective person-centered recovery programs. We can create a safer environment for our families and communities. When we're talking about our recovery programs, the model, I'm not saying it would be this specifically, but the model that we're seriously looking at would be the Teen Challenge model, which is a multi-month, comprehensive, inpatient program. It's going to cost a fortune. With that said, there are very few families, there's very few in this room, that haven't been affected in some way by addiction. And there's all kinds of ways to get addicted. Kid can go to a party. Somebody can be on painkillers for 3 years waiting for hip replacement. There's all kinds of ways to get there. We got to figure out how to get them out, because not only is it that person that's addicted, it's their family, it's their coworkers, it's their community. And we as a province have to figure out how to make that work, and that's what we're looking at, is a very long-term process, and it'll be available to those who want it. We've got to return people back to their lives, to their families, and their communities.
Thank you. So, Shauna, this question was for you, but it could certainly be for both candidates. You have consistently said that your party would pay for programs by saving money on red tape or redundancies in government. Would those savings include a freeze or reduction in MLA salaries?
I don't have a problem with that. I don't know that we've talked about it, but I can't, one of the things that really upset people in the last few years, when we went through the pandemic, there were a lot of people in every community who were asked to give up their job, give up their business, give up something. And our MLAs went home and got paid. That ticked a lot of people off in ways that I don't think are measurable, and I don't know if it's ever recoverable. The amount of hurt that a lot of other people, taxpayers, went through in order to support that was not okay. So for me personally, if you want me to commit to a salary decrease or whatever, I'm not in this for the money. And MLA salaries, I understand why they are connected, how they came to be. I remember the formula being put into place however many years ago. But as I've sat on other boards and commissions and stuff when we were going into all this, and I said, what happens when inflation goes up to like 7% or something? Because we've got all these cost of living, automatic things that are supposed to happen in salaries across the board. We're going to have to look at some of that, because we're living in a very volatile time right now. And again, people are really hurting. And as far as I'm concerned, everything's fair game.
Any response, Terry?
Can you repeat the question first, please?
So the question was specifically for the Sask United Party, talking about saving money on red tape and redundancies, and asking whether that would include a freeze on MLA salaries or even a reduction. So, I mean, the question was not for you, but obviously you have an opportunity to respond if you'd like.
Actually, I'll pass. Thank you.
Thank you. So Shauna had mentioned the pandemic in the last response of hers, and I have a question that is actually related to the pandemic. So, Terry, during the pandemic, from the beginning to now, what are your thoughts on how it was handled, and how would your party respond if we were faced with a similar situation again?
Regarding COVID-19, the Saskatchewan Party handled the COVID-19 pandemic the best they could with the information they had at the time. Decisions were made on the advice of Chief Medical Officer Dr. Shahab, and I think that's kind of how we saw that play out. As far as hypothetically going forward, I wouldn't want to comment on what that would look like. Thank you.
Thank you. And Shauna?
I got to think this one through a little bit. I spent 10 years as a disasters responder for the Red Cross, so I've seen people at their most vulnerable. And as a Red Cross disaster responder, our primary goal every single moment of every day is to maintain dignity. I also, in my previous jobs, spent time with emergency planning and learning how to do that, as well as developing emergency plans. So as we went into all of this, I thought I had a pretty good idea of how it was going to play out based on the emergency plans that had been developed over a long period of time and across continents as to how this was going to go. And then that all got flipped upside down. The emergency plans were tossed out the window, and then I heard our premier say, we're going to defer to Dr. Shahab. And me being a little bit of a political junkie, I said, well, that's kind of a cover your butt kind of thing to do. It took me until actually not long ago when I kind of really all put it together, and John was asked this question somewhere too, and he says, what would we do different? We are elected to do this job, whether it's easy or hard. We don't have the right to cede our responsibility to an unelected bureaucrat. So that's what we would do different. The Sask United government members would shoulder the full burden. We would take advice without a doubt, but our MLAs would be able to have input into that. That did not happen in the last go-around.
Thank you. So this next question is more of a philosophical question. There's a bit of preamble, and I'll read it here. A few groups in 2020 handed in a 60,000 signature petition to the Sask Party to enact conscience legislation to protect our medical personnel from intimidation and unjust dismissal. Would you ensure a safe workplace for all medical personnel who oppose medically assisted dying or abortion? They say such legislation in Manitoba has been quite successful. Shauna.
I'm trying to figure out where we've got this in here.
Terry has requested I repeat the question. Would you like me to repeat it as well, Shauna?
Sure, go ahead.
Once again, a few groups in 2020 handed in a 60,000 signature petition to the Sask Party to enact conscience legislation to protect our medical personnel from intimidation and unjust dismissal. Would you ensure a safe workplace for all medical personnel who opposed MAID, or medically assisted dying, or abortion? Such legislation in Manitoba has been quite successful.
Well, I can't necessarily find it in my book here, but I know that we believe that our medical professionals, well, it doesn't matter, any professionals across all of public service, they need to be supported in doing their jobs the way they deem fit based on their medical, in this case medical, their medical training. We feel that there's been, whether it be, and it's not just doctors and nurses, and it's not just healthcare. We feel like there's a lot of interference from a layer within government that does not have the skill set specific to whatever that profession is, that those people are putting a lot of limitations and directives towards professionals on how they do their job. And we're saying, no, professionals need to be supported, whether they are police officers or nurses or teachers or whoever, they need to be supported in doing their jobs. So, conscious legislation, me personally, I'm going to support that every day of the week. I feel that, again, we all have the right to make decisions, and in something like healthcare where there's plenty of people to go around who can care for someone, they shouldn't, no healthcare professional should be put in the position where they have to do something that is going to cause them a complete moral crisis in their own life.
Thank you. And Terry?
Thank you. I am a new candidate. I'm familiar with the term, but I don't know enough about the details of this issue, regarding this issue. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Terry, the Sask Party has talked about lowering income taxes as part of their platform for this election. This does nothing to put money back in the pockets of the lowest of income earners. Are there any specific initiatives that your party intends to implement to help out those such as senior citizens and people that basically make below the threshold of income tax?
Okay, I think that's kind of two-part. So, depending on how the level of income is and how low the income is, we did make adjustments here within this budget to allow another 54,000 low-income individuals to no longer pay provincial income tax, in addition to the $112,000 that were below that cutoff and currently not paying provincial income tax. As far as those people go, as far as the level, it would depend on the level of your income, because there's certain things that were put in place that will allow low to moderate income earners to be able to have some savings. So a re-elected Saskatchewan government will put more money back in the pockets of low to moderate income individuals and families by increasing the Saskatchewan low income tax credit to 20% over the next 4 years. And so for people that are in that situation, that would come into play for them. As far as a senior couple goes, they would save more than $3,100 over the next 4 years with respect to the personal income tax, because there'll be a reduction for those seniors. A family of 4 will save more than $3,400 over the next 4 years as well, with a reduction in their personal income taxes too. So I guess it would depend a little bit on what the income level is, to depend on what part of that categories you would fall within. As well, as far as seniors go, it was an extension for the coverage of glucose monitoring systems that wasn't available before, that would be available to them now, which would definitely put money back into their pockets, as the cost of those are not inexpensive. They're they're expensive, and depending on how much you need, it's not always covered through the provincial drug plan services. Thank you.
Thank you, Terry. And Shauna, does the Sask United Party have any affordability programs for the very lowest of income earners?
Well, our platform is all about that. That's our number one thing is cost of living. It's all about affordability and axing taxes. And when you look at low income earners, it's the consumption taxes that everybody pays regardless of how much you make. So reducing that PST, cutting it in half to 3%, that impacts every single low-income earner, whether or not they're below or just above that threshold for income tax. Eliminating the gas tax, that 15 cent a liter. You can be fairly low income in this province and still have to drive to get somewhere to get to work. So 15 cents a liter makes a big difference to that low income earner. And then for those seniors that are on those fixed incomes, putting them in a position where they get that property tax reduction of 65% on their primary residence, that's going to make a big difference in their lives. So ours, I believe, are costed out at about $8,000 versus the $3,000 that the Sask Party is talking about. So if we reduce the cost for everyone, good policy is good policy. It's going to affect everyone, and it's going to bring benefits to everyone. So, but especially in this kind of stuff, that out-of-pocket stuff that you can't, it's not about income tax. It's about just day-to-day living. Those costs, when you cut those, that very much impacts and benefits those who are at the lowest income among us.
Thank you. So we're getting to a point where the questions that I have left that have been submitted are very specific or kind of short answer questions. I do have one really quick here for Shauna. Will the Sask United Party continue to support the Rink Affordability Grant Program?
I don't see why not. We don't have anything specific to that, but that's part of the strong community, strong families, that kind of stuff. I mean, we're all about making sure that the smaller centers especially are supported and can remain strong and vibrant and maybe even grow. So rinks are a very important part of every community, big or small. And yeah, that keeps the lights on. That's how the Sask Energy bill gets paid. So yeah, let's keep doing that.
Certainly. And does the Sask Party have plans to continue the Rink Affordability Grant?
Definitely we do. In fact, we would double the ring grant beginning next year if re-elected. The Saskatchewan Party will increase that. And what that is, it's a grant that actually will provide financial support to the recreational facilities, and it'll go from $2,500 to $5,000 per ice surface for skating and for curling rinks. And so it's very important for recreation facilities, and they're part of every community. It's important that we can keep those facilities operating for the people that use the services there. Thank you.
Thank you. So I think that's going to wrap up our question portion of the evening. So we're going to give each candidate an opportunity for a closing statement of 3 minutes. Because Terry went first on the opening statement, Shauna, I'd like you to go first on your closing statement.
I get 3 minutes. I thought it was 2.
You get 3 minutes for your close.
I won't have to talk as fast. Well, thank you, everyone. Thank you, Terry. This was kind of fun. It was okay. Terry and I have known each other since we were very young kids. Thank you, everyone, for your attention. As I've visited communities in Carrot River Valley, even the smallest ones, I've heard how happy people are to have someone listen. Politicians can promise many things, and of course our platform, the Blueprint for Change, offers the Sask United ideas, and many of which you have heard about tonight. But my pledge to you is this. I am an advocate. That is who I am. In my previous career and even some of the other things that I've done throughout my life, I truly learned the value of listening and learning. And what I've told councils and others as I've traveled around, beyond the regular attendance at special events and meetings, as your MLA, my office will be calling your community's leadership to set an annual date for a day-long meeting. And during this annual meeting, I will sit down with both the town and RM councils, as well as other community partners, such as volunteer organizations and business groups, faith leaders, industry associations, or whoever else that community really feels should be at that table. One day, lots of conversation, lots of talking about what your community is proud of and where the pinch points are, as well as the solutions and ideas your community believes should be escalated to provincial tables. There is only one taxpayer, and we all know this. Even with provincial or federal funding, we recognize it is still your pocket the money comes out of. It's time to truly work together. There is no higher government that knows better than you what your community needs and what your community wants. And I intend to respect that. It's my goal to work with each community because I believe that is the job. I am committed to being your microphone and not simply a messenger of all things from above. So I thank everyone for their time. I thank everyone for your attention. And most of all, I thank all of my fellow candidates, but especially Terry this evening, for stepping up and sitting here tonight. I respectfully ask each of you for your confidence and your vote. Thank you.
Thank you. And Terry.
Thank you. Thank you to the Nipawin District Chamber of Commerce, Ben, our moderator, and Shauna here tonight. Saskatchewan is growing at its fastest pace in more than a century. We have a plan for a strong economy that will ensure Saskatchewan continues to grow. We have a plan for growing the province that will keep investing in healthcare and education and other important programs and services for everyone in our province to enjoy a quality of life. We have a plan for building Saskatchewan that will focus on continuing to build schools, hospitals, highways, and other important projects that a growing province needs. We have a plan for keeping life affordable that will reduce taxes, put more money back into the pocket of the citizens, and ensure Saskatchewan continues to be the most affordable place in Canada to live. We will keep fighting the Trudeau NDP carbon tax so it is eliminated completely. I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to attend many events and knock on many doors throughout the constituency this year. The insights, suggestions, and concerns shared with me are invaluable. I am passionate about making a positive impact and finding solutions to our constituency's challenges while promoting at the same time its strengths and opportunities, because I believe there are strengths and opportunities here within Carrot River Valley. Let's work to create strong communities and a place where our families can thrive. I will be a strong voice and listen with an open mind and take the concerns of the constituents forward. The Saskatchewan Party here is a party that can lead us into the future. The NDP and the Saskatchewan Green Party chose not to join us tonight, but I'm glad that we were here and present to be with you guys here tonight. I think it's important to note that it's a distinct advantage for any constituency to have its MLA from the sitting government, and I feel that that is something that I would benefit this constituency itself. So I do respectfully ask for your support and for the opportunity to represent you as the next MLA for Carrot River Valley. Thank you all.
Thank you so much. Once again, I'd like to extend our thanks to the Nipawin Apostolic Church for providing the venue and doing all this setup for us. We couldn't have done it without you. I want to thank Lisa and her team from the Chamber of Commerce. I want to thank all of our guests for attending our forum tonight, and thank you to everybody. Oh, and definitely thank you, Norm, for broadcasting us on the radio. And yes, I want to thank everybody for tuning in on the radio and joining us on Facebook as well. If anyone's interested, this isn't the only election we have here in Nipawin this year. We're going to be having an all candidates forum, all councillors forum on November 6th and the mayoral forum on November 4th. Same time, same place, 6 p.m. So tune in and give it a listen. And lastly, I want to thank Terry Brom and Shauna Stanley Seymour for attending our forum tonight. You guys did fantastic. It was very informative, and I really appreciate your candidness and your straightforward answers. It was excellent. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Ben.